Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Women in Politics #AskHer podcast series. My name is Maria Rango, and I'm one of the board members of Women in Politics. So we're interviewing women today who have either been elected to office to offer a little bit of their advice and experience to really help inspire other women to enter in the race. The women that would want to consider could really be for any political office, and we hope to just achieve the goal of having more women's voices at the decision-making table. So today we have the pleasure of welcoming Arielle Kayabaga, who is the London City Councillor of Ward 13, to tell us a little bit about her experience. Welcome.
Hi, Maria. Thanks for having me.
So how about we start with you telling me a little bit about what inspired your decision to run?
Yeah, so my name is Arielle Kayabaga, and I'm the City Councillor for Downtown London. And I got inspired to run after working with a city councillor at City Hall and just kind of getting exposed to municipal politics and realizing how many voices are missing at the municipal level. I think I've spent the rest of my time as elected official talking about the lack of young voices, the lack of women voices into municipal politics, and just how much it impacts, our lives and the decisions that we have to make, and the way that we get around our cities, the way that we think about when we're choosing housing and that kind of stuff. So it was really important for me to get involved and have my voice be represented, and also like the fact that there was no representation of people of color and women who look like me. It's what really inspired me to want to be involved in the political scene at a municipal level.
Oh, that's wonderful. So tell me a little bit about how you think having yourself, let's say, as a representation for these women, for minority groups, to hear their voices, and how you've been able to really get their voices heard.
So sorry, your question was how important it is, or?
Yes, let's go with that one.
Okay. I think that it's really important because, first of all, when you see something, you can be it, right? If you can visualize it, if you can dream it and you can see it, you can want to be it. I just go back to 2008 when I was in my first year university. That was the election where Obama got elected. And it was so inspiring because here we are now, a couple of years later, I'm elected, and I was just someone who was watching, who was just starting her university career, and I was just watching him on TV get elected and what that meant for me. So I think that for a very long time, even to this day, we tend to not have a lot of representation in a lot of spaces, especially as young Black women. I can't point to 10 other Black women who are either in leadership or in elected seats that I can look up to and say, this is the person that I want to be one day. And I'm a mother, I have a young boy, and I want to be able to provide him the opportunity to have that, to have those dreams, to aim higher and to aim for things that are rightfully his. But when he starts seeing people who are in those places and not only just advocating for him, but also representing him, it is going to make him not only pay attention, but also dream about the possibilities of what he can and cannot do in this country. The second thing is the advocacy piece. A lot of decisions that affect women, young people, people of color, Black and Indigenous people are often made at these seats, at these political levels where we're not often found, or we're not often invited to see that. So that is one of the main reasons why it's important to have our voices be there, because these are our lived experiences.
Mm-hmm. No, it's beautiful. Yeah, that's wonderful. And we really do need a powerful voice, someone that has just that connection to it, to really understand where their voices are coming from and why they may think a certain way. So that's wonderful to have that representation. When you're committing to running, really, what was one of the biggest hurdles that you had to overcome, either within yourself or societal hurdle?
I think for me, when I decided to run, I remember that one of the things that I kept saying to myself was, whether we win the election or not, we already won, because I put my name on the ballot. I put my name on the map, and not just my name, the weights that comes with putting my name on the ballot. That was a huge hurdle to make that decision to run and to follow through with it.
Mhm.
That was where the biggest hurdle that we had to jump over, defeat the fear of getting racism, or, getting sexism and everything that comes with every ism that's out
Yeah.
there. It was a big decision to decide to put my name on the ballot. And once we accomplished that, then we just thought we already won either way. So
Mhm.
regardless of how the election results were going to be, my team and I felt that we had accomplished a lot by just putting our name on the ballot.
That's wonderful. And you really did. And now look where you are. That's amazing.
Yeah.
How was your experience running? Like with all these isms that, what was your experience through all of that?
Well, it was a ranked ballot system, so it was a little different than most
Sure.
elections,
Fun.
where we would have to kind of focus on the other person's
Mhm.
identity, which I've seen happen in politics, where women are subjected to, threats around their
Mhm.
bodies, their motherhood, or different things. This was a little different because we had ranked ballots, and it had to be more. There was a lot more civility than most campaigns. It wasn't short of any attacks that women normally get. I did meet people who didn't want to vote for women. I did meet people who were still stuck in the time where they didn't accept Black people to be involved in politics. I met quite a bit of racism and sexism and ageism as well. That's another thing that comes with being a young person. So that was quite interesting. But generally speaking, the ranked ballot did really create a very positive atmosphere where everybody had to focus on their ideas and their policies. So it was less politicky, if I can say that. So.
Yeah. Wonderful. And I guess with all these experiences, I know they were, let's say, a little bit different than my initial question, but how are you able to really rise above some of those like criticisms that are very personal attacks?
Um,
Because I'm assuming wasn't just faced during a few weeks or months of
yeah.
the campaign.
It's same way I've been dealing with
Yeah.
racism my entire life. Is there's really not much you can do if the person is not trying to learn and to do better and to do differently. You just hope that one day they'll have a change of heart. I just focused on what I was doing. I focused on my truth, and I focused on things that humanized me, and focus on my strength and those weaknesses, which are not mine, by the way. And just also understanding that racism is not part of my life. It's part of other people's lives who decide to perpetrate racism against me. It is also really helpful to separate yourself from those actions and see it as their actions helps you rise above it.
Cool. Maybe you can tell me a little bit about your experience really as a woman in office, and maybe also a little bit about being like the youngest woman in office as well.
Yeah, it's interesting being a woman. And when there's intersectionality involved, you don't know like where certain things are coming from. You don't know if it's because it's your age, or if it's
Mhm.
because you're a woman, or if it's because you're a person who is not of color, a Black person. It's always interesting and when you have all three of them, you can I tend to feel the heat more than most people. There are some experiences that I've had on council that no other person can tell you that they've experienced, because they don't have all those intersectionalities in their identities. So for me, I think we're still a long way to go. This is why we're doing this. This is why we still talk about asking her, and this is why we still talk about creating policies that do promote more women to run and more women to be involved in politics, because there aren't a lot of women who are represented. There aren't a lot of people who are Black or Indigenous or people of color or young people who are represented in those spaces. And we still have to really pave the way. But I was the first Black woman to be elected on council. It's a lot to be the first person, but the idea is to pave the way for other people and hold the space for them so that they can also be able to enter and create that change within. So it's not really about diversity, because diversity is really easy to do. It's the easiest piece. The inclusion part is the hardest, and measuring that as well, like capturing how we're really being inclusive, and also implementing equity and justice work and anti-oppression work is also really hard, but it's something that we have to do in order to see more women, more young people, more Indigenous, Black, and people of color included in these spaces.
So if you had to give some advice and guidance to a woman of color, or a young woman that really wants to start thinking about running, or someone has just thrown it out there, like, hey, you should run one day. What are some advices that you would give them? Or advice?
I would just say, just do it. Just
yeah.
Do it. Your voice is needed. Your voice is welcome. Don't worry about, the next 4 years. Oh, maybe I should wait. Like, just do it. If you have thought about it, just do it. And then we'll figure everything out on the way. Because the problem is most women take a long time to make that decision. And the thing is, we will never know what we need to support women to continue to be in these spaces if we don't have more women who are willing to kind of like be the first trial or continue to push through these barriers. So once you're in that place, you can identify like, hey, hold up, this is not working for me because the hours, or it's not working for me because of whatever reason that you may come up with that you may figure out is not working for you, could be the same barrier that maybe 20,000 other women are facing. And then you can help solve that issue and create a policy that actually promotes more women to be in those spaces. Women experience the lives of everybody. So even when we talk about men, like when men are affected, women are affected because those are our children, those are our sons, our brothers, our cousins, our husbands. So we are essentially the central of life creating and life creation. So we understand what we need in order for us to be to have a successful society. So we need to have more women included in these decision making. We need to have women in every single level of government, because women are going to make decisions that not only are good for women, but also good for kids, are also good for, their brothers, their sons, their husbands, so basically the society. So we need to include more women in these spaces. So just do it.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that. That's like everything you've said has been really so inspirational. And it is those issues that we have to really address as women, is that it's not just one part. There's so much more that comes with being a woman. It's like yourself, just like as a mother, and as giving like voices to a lot of marginalized groups that just haven't had them. And that is really needed above everything else. So that is great. And that's great work that you've been doing. And I'm very, very glad that you're a counselor here in London, Ontario, that's been making this change. So I wanted to thank you just really once again for all this insight and your time. And I really hope that we can keep in touch during the rest of this campaign as well.
Yeah, absolutely. My door is always open. Reach out anytime. I'm always happy to connect with women who are interested in running and support them, and not just support them with words, but also offer resources that are helpful to prepare them to run. So I'm happy to do that.
Thank you very much.